Good morning, everyone. Our today's topic in legal aspect of business is Indian Contract Act 1872. So first we talk about the applicability and the evolution of Indian Contract Act. See, this Contract Act is based on English Contract Act, uh, and it is came into force from 1st September 1872, and it is considered to be not complete and not exhaustive in nature. It creates just a person's right against a particular person or against a set of particular persons. However, it is applicable to whole India, all the states of India. When it was came into force, it was applicable to whole India except Jammu and Kashmir, but now it is applicable to all the states of India. So if we talk about Indian Contract Act, it is a act or a law which deals with contract made by persons. So first we need to understand what is a contract meaning. So if you talk about contract, so according to section 2H of Indian Contract Act, contract is defined as an agreement which is enforceable by law. So as you see in the definition, there are two most important aspects of a contract. First is an agreement and second is legal enforceability. So first we understand what is an agreement. So agreement is, according to section 2E, every promise or every set of promises forming a consideration to each other is called an agreement. So that means there must be two parties. One should offer something and second party should accept something. So there could be two or more people in a contract. So so the agreement is offer plus acceptance. So certain time it was asked that what is the difference between agreement and a contract. So on the basis of definition, it is clear that agreement is offer plus acceptance, whereas a contract is agreement and legal enforceability. So an agreement can create a social or a legal obligation, but contract create only legal obligations. So for example, if you invite your friend for a party and now you are not throwing the party, so it creates only a social obligation to perform your promise, not a legal obligation. But in the case of contract, there is a legal obligation between the parties. And one of the difference could be that all the agreement need not to become a contract. That means there two parties make promises to each other, may not have intention to create a legal obligation, so it will not converted into contract. But in case of contract, you can say that all the contracts are based on agreement. That means for making or formation of a contract, first a contract need to be an agreement, then it will be added by the enforceability of law, so it could become a contract. Now we are talking about the essentials of a contract, which is given in section 10. So if we talk about contract, so first essential is a valid offer and acceptance. So what is valid offer and acceptance? This whole become an agreement. So an agreement is the first element for a valid contract, because a contract is based on, there are two major elements of contract. first is agreement and second is enforceability by law. So contract is, I mean, the central idea of contract is an agreement. So for an agreement, there must be an offer and the acceptance of that offer. So you could say that a valid offer and acceptance or an agreement is the main essential of an of a contract. And it is also clear that from the point valid essential of agreement, it is also clear that there must be two or more parties involved. So one cannot make contract with himself only. So there must be two or more persons involved in a contract. Now second essential is parties must intended to create legal obligation. So there must be an intention on the part of parties to create legal relationship between them. So social and domestic type of agreement may not enforce in the court by law. So hence they do not result into contract. Now third essential is certainty. So what is certainty? Certainty means that you cannot make contract of a vague or undefined thing. So at the time of contract or at the time of making agreement, it must be certain and not vague contract. So that means all the rules regulations should be clear and made on the basis of agreement only. Third, next essential is known as possibility of performance. So what is possibility of performance? Sorry, the fourth essential is uh, free consent. So what is free consent? We need to first understand what is consent. So consent can be defined as if two people agreed upon something in same sense, same thing on same sense, it is called they are having assent. So if what do you call for a free consent, that means two people, uh, that means the assent should be free from any obligation or any force, which is called free consent in the language of law. So two or more person are said to have consent when they agreed upon same thing in same sense without any enforcement on them. So consent should be free at the time of making contract. And for a free consent, it is said in the contract act that a consent is said to be free when it is not brought by coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation, or by mistake. Next essential is capacity of party. So what is capacity of party? That means at the time of making contract, the parties should be capable of making contract. And there are 3 points related to capacity of contract is given in the contract act, that the person should not be minor at the time of making contract. So the minor person cannot enter into a contract. Second is the person should be of sound mind. That means the unsound mind person cannot enter into a contract. And third thing is the person should not disqualify from contracting by any other law imposed on him. So if any other law imposed on a person is not allowed the person to enter into a certain kind of contract, so he is not eligible or capable of making contract. So capacity of party means every party or every person entering into a contract should be capable of making contract. Next essential is lawful consideration or legality of object. These two are the one or the same point. So first we understand what is consideration means. So consideration means something in return. So if two persons are making contract, so every person need to perform something, and every person has to give certain and every person need to have certain something in return out of that contract. So what, that something in return is known as consideration for each party. So consideration is required for a contract. And second thing, consideration should be lawful also. Next essential is legality of object. That means here the meaning of object is objective of the contract. So the objective, that means for the purpose of which you are making or you are entering into a contract, should be lawful. It should not oppose to any public policy, or it should not go beyond the sections described in IPC. Next essential is possibility of performance. So a as I told you that in a contract there is an obligation on the part of party. So that obligation is called his part of performance. So it should the performance should be possible. If there is no possibility of performance, it should not amount as a contract. And last one is legal formalities, just like paperwork, bills should be there for the, or the contract should be in written form and duly stamped by the parties in the contract. So it will it these are legal formalities which is required to enforce the contract lawfully. So these are the essentials regarding contract in Indian Contract Act. So this is all for the day. Thank you.